Hacking Your Brain with Beats. Nathan and Joy Montieth on the science of music and learning. Want to access your brain's significant capacities and boost your performance? Join us as we explore the fascinating intersection of music, learning, and technology with Nathan and Joy, the creators of PodBeat. This innovative app lets you add beats to audiobooks and podcasts, transforming your listening experience into a biohacking adventure. Discover the science behind how music impacts learning and focus, and learn how this cutting edge technology can enhance your workouts, productivity, and overall well being. Don't miss this insightful conversation on the future of learning and human optimization. Welcome to the Wellness Driven Life Show, where you're about to go on a wellness driven ride. Let me share a little bit about the incredible guests that we have with us today. Nathan and Joy Montieth are the innovative minds behind PodBeat, an app that revolutionizes how we learn and experience audio content. They are passionate about exploring the intersections of music, technology, and human potential, and their work is transforming how we approach learning and personal growth. I am so pleased to help welcome to our stage today Nathan and Joy. Welcome to the Wellness Driven Life Show.
Thank you, April. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, this is great.
I know. I'm so excited. We've been planning this for a while. The first round didn't work out for one reason or another, but this is such an exciting time for us because we've been kind of following each other on social media and supporting each other. And what you guys have created is such a beautiful thing. It really marries, of course, with podcasters, talk show hosts, audibles, all the books and all the things and the stuff that we get to learn and grow with. And you have just brought this essence of another level of fantastic. So let's get started by sharing with the audience a little bit about yourselves so we can get to know you more.
Love it. Thank you. So I'm Nathan Montieth, husband to Joy, and we came up with this. My background is design and art direction and music as well. And both of us are just huge fitness people, and we love podcasts and love audiobooks. So that's a little bit of my background.
I have background in tech, so this seemed like a natural fit for us. Also, time to tell my story.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, April. I love everything you're saying about this. There's something about when you come up with a project or an idea that comes from a place of like when you were kind of at your lowest, like we dealt with something physically, Joy did, that kind of led us here. And actually, she's better at telling the story than I am. So
I don't know if I'm better, but I lost my sight for about 6 months.
Oh.
This was almost 5 years ago. I was on a steroid that gave me early onset cataracts.
Oh gosh. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I was about to ask what drug, but you said it was a steroid.
Yes, it was a steroid that they were trying to do to help with my autoimmune disorder. But it took my sight, and I was horrified that I had to manage life now. So I still wanted to work out. Like Nathan said, we work out a lot. So he got me a walking treadmill that was safe in the home, and I would listen to an audiobook, but I would say, there's just not enough for me here. He said, hang on, I'm gonna grab a speaker and I'll put a beat on behind it so you can keep your pace, keep your momentum.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I would actually have a speaker and put it beside her while she was listening to the audiobook or podcast in her headphones, because there was no way to do it. there was no way to sync the two things. And we were kind of like, it's kind of crazy that there's no system set up for this, because it just really changes the feeling when you add a beat to a podcast or an audiobook. So we kind of made a bit of an agreement. We didn't know how long the site was going to be, was going to be gone. The doctors are all kind of like, we haven't seen this before. And again, getting cataracts at 37 was pretty rare as well, right? So yeah, we didn't really know where it was going, but we just made an agreement that once her site came back, that we would make it into an app. We were like, we need to somehow figure out a way to make this for people that they can do it too.
And it did come back. And now I have robot eyes. My mom will catch a reflection of them in the sun. She's like, what's wrong with your eyes? I'm like, they're robot eyes, Mom.
Well,
and we didn't start this journey.
You know what? They're gorgeous robot eyes. So bravo for whoever helped you on that one. Joy, you're absolutely stunning.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. And so this is a really cool story. I mean, the best stories come out of some sort of trial, tribulation, something. I mean, they are literally the best stories and the best creations that come out of that, and the determination that you have in creating something because the will and the desire is so strong. Your senses was heightened during that time because sight was gone, and now your body's trying to function and get whatever it can to navigate itself in this world, right? And so music was key. I love music. I like to say that it's the bridge to the soul. And I think it's an imperative aspect of us, maybe not so imperative, but it really brings a lot of color and value for us as human beings to connect with each other, to connect with source or the divine or God or whatever it is you want to call it. But we know that we're more than just this physical body, and music really brings that other piece to us. So I'm sorry that happened. And if it didn't, we wouldn't be here today, right?
Yeah.
I can familiarize myself with you, Joy, because I have an autoimmune disease, lupus, systemic lupus. And I too take a drug that it's very rare, but it could potentially cause blindness. So I have to, it's like, you take it and you take small doses forever and ever. And risk that, or the disease could potentially get out of control. So we play these gambles in life, and alongside that, we're learning other things to take care of ourselves. And you guys take care of yourself on that physical aspect very, very well, and merging and marrying in that soulful piece with music. So share a little bit more about how that got started. What was it like, this journey in the beginning?
Yeah. I mean, you make a great point with the extra sense that you have when you lose one, right? So we actually use that to our advantage, because what we were finding was Joy used to be a DJ as well. So as we were trying to find the right amount of music, we really had to pare it down, because if the beats were too musical and there was too much going on, it actually took away from the focus and the supporting of the podcast. So we kind of had to really kind of deconstruct the music and figure out what's the right amount of musical beat. We kind of always say beat over music, just because music kind of implies that there's a lot of extra stuff kind of going on, right? Like it's a full band, or there's 3 or 4 instruments. And what we found was that makes it too complex, and it interferes with the comprehension of the podcast and the audiobook.
That also couples with, I was a comparative literature major. So content is super important to me. So every beat we've created never disrupts that. That's just, it's not something that you want. You want to hear it, but you want the motivation behind it. So that was very important to me and us.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautifully said. I really like how you said that. And it flows well. It flows better than if you were to do, pod music or music pod or what, however as we are branding ourselves and going into business, all the names that we get to play with, right?
We had so many in the beginning. It's a silly game we would play. And then it's kind of like when you're naming a baby.
Yeah, it is, because it is your baby.
Yeah.
It's true. And actually, again, you make a nice point about the consistency of the beat. What we found was if it was just too simple and too consistent, it didn't kind of like engage the part of you when you're exercising, right? Like an example, if say you're going for a run, you'll always start to slow down a little bit. So what we did was we made sure when we designed the beats that they're in like 3-minute increments. So they loop and they kind of like start out simple and evolve, and then they devolve to kind of go into the loop. So it kind of catches you in a rhythm as you're running and working out or exercising that kind of moves up and down as you do. So we, again,
like the ebb and flow of your brain while you're trying to process things. And we actually read that when you're multitasking like that with 2 senses, your things just fire differently. So you retain more instead of just hearing one or listening to information. When they're combined, your brain's like, oh, hey, I'm paying attention to both now. What are we doing? Yeah.
It's almost like we could say to people right now, if you're listening to this, let's get a little meta with it. Open PodBeat and drop a beat on April's voice on this podcast.
He won't stop.
I'm telling you, I've listened to your full podcast a bunch of times, April. And when I put like a trap beat under your voice, it just sounds awesome.
I would have given her pie. You're giving her trap?
I give her trap.
I love it. I love it. I'm so excited. You all have to try that. Try it in trap. And Joy, what would you try?
I love the lo-fi. It still has like a pick me up, but it's not like in your face. But if I row a lot, and if I need an extra kick, I put on the pop one behind hip hop music, and I'll sing it in 2 hours. Like that's.
I love the cadence of the 3 minutes. I feel like when you're working out, that's a good timing for, the heavier movements, and then maybe a little bit of a slowdown, and then 3 minutes of heavy and slow down. And I think there's some science backing behind that. Likely. I mean, yeah. So you guys can explain that a little bit also with the audience, and share a little bit more about some of the beats, because I think this is where we're really getting into the juice of it. Because this app is really rad and everybody's got to try it, and it's free to download. But let's move into our first commercial, and when we get back, we're going to dive right into these. Stay tuned.
Are you ready to take control of your ride to wellness? Rev up with Driven Livin'. Visit www.drivenlivin.com and buckle up for a journey. Get exclusive access to our Wellness Driven Life Show guest portal, where you can dive deep into the minds of our esteemed guests. Sign up for our newsletter and get insider scoops on these distinguished personalities. It's like having a backstage pass to their life-changing wisdom. But that's not all. You'll also receive a free hug. You heard me right, a free hug. An enlightening ebook from the Driven Livin' team. Discover the science-backed benefits of hugging yourself. It's a fill-up for your wellness tank. Because at Driven Livin', we believe in fueling your journey to wellness, both physically and psychologically. So what are you waiting for? Visit www.drivenlivin.com today.
Welcome back, everyone. Here with Nathan and Joy Montieth.
Montieth, yes.
Yep.
I said it incorrectly in the beginning, so I apologize for that. But welcome, the incredible creators of PodBeat. We've talked about how this was birthed from something that was very difficult, a very challenging time for Joy. And now coming back to what is it like? What have they created? The science behind that, how it motivates us during physical movement. And also we get to learn and enjoy all of our favorite podcasts or audiobooks. So it's just such a cool app. Do you want to talk a little bit more about what that's like for the to experience it?
Yeah, I mean, the first time we started doing it and actually had the app built and designed, we were blown away at what it does to different types of voices. it almost turns people's voice into a spoken word element. I don't know if you've listened to much spoken word, but it almost becomes beat poetry in a way, because there's a natural cadence in like how people speak, and I don't think we think about it very much, but not many people will talk really fast like this for a little bit and then slow down and say, but then, I was trying. We don't do that. Like, we actually have a natural cadence that I don't think most people pick up on. But when you put something like a consistent beat underneath it, you start to see how they work together. And that was super exciting for us, because it was a real surprise. We were like, whoa, I didn't think this would work this well. So,
and speaking to different voices, you can tailor make what you want to listen to with each podcast or audiobook. So you can choose between all the beats and figure out which one you like best with what you're hearing, instead of just like, okay, this is one, just take it or leave it.
Yeah.
You get to like scroll through tons of beats and be like, oh, that works. I'm going to try this one. And then that'll probably be your habit.
And you can get a little themed with it too. Like, Joy teases me all the time. I don't actually read. I'll listen to an audiobook, but I will not read. I suck at it. I can't focus enough on it. I'll read a whole page and then go, I don't think I listened to my own voice after I read a whole page. Something else came in. So I was running the other day and I was listening to Dave Grohl's audiobook, and I was listening to it with like a dance beat, and I was kind of like, this feels off somehow. So we have metal beats. So I put a metal beat on it under Dave Grohl's voice, and it just, the two of them were like, okay, this is perfect.
How did you not go metal first?
I should have, yeah. Right. I wasn't thinking clearly.
But that's the fun of it. You can pick your own beats based on what you're listening to.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys could stretch it even further and start, like do a little test that people can do to find out what beat their personality is, or whatever, based on their voice. I mean,
Great point, April. No, that's genius.
It'd be really fun. Well, we're talking to geniuses here. You guys have created such a cool thing. And it's interesting. This is where my brain went, Nathan, when you talked about that our voices have this specific cadence, and certain beats really just amplify that, so to speak. But it made me think of, we all have our own scents, our own body odors. And so when we put a perfume on, the scent will smell differently on each person. We all are so unique. We all have individual thumbprints. We all have, specific vocal an essence of us in, I'm losing my words, but we use that in investigative work when it comes to things like that, and being able to determine the individual so specifically because of those things. So I think that's really, really cool that this was shining some light on that as you guys were creating it.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Like, what we're finding too is there's a level of exploration that happens too. So we've got beats that are like bayando beats, which are like a Latin inspired. We've got beats that are like Afro beats, and reggaeton, all different beats that if you thought to yourself, well, I'm not really into reggaeton music, that's very different. Once you drop one on a podcast, you're kind of like, oh, wait a second, maybe I am. Like, there's something about it, right? Where you're kind of like, I wouldn't normally have tried this genre, but the beat of a certain genre that you're not familiar with is a great access point to kind of bring people into different types of music.
Oh, so one thing that I'd really love to know about you two, since you've created this, I'm sure that you have heard many stories of how this has affected people's lives, but I'm more curious too, maybe some stories about others, but also how has this changed your guys' life and how you interact with it, your lifestyle on a daily basis because of the app that you created?
I love this. So
I'll take it.
Yeah, you take it.
We are pretty just even keel no matter what. And I know that sounds silly, but it's true. So obstacles for us are just another day. Nothing really makes us different to each other. So this was another obstacle that we just said, okay, head down, let's go. And we did.
Yep.
He has his side of it, which is creative. I have my side, which is more directorial. And the balance between that has really helped us control our roles.
But we also argue sometimes. I always attribute the app to like fitness, because of course that makes sense. It gives you a beat and energy. But Joy uses it for things like when
folding laundry,
just doing stuff around the home. She's kind of like listening to a podcast or an audiobook, and then she puts a beat on that to kind of move her and stuff. And I don't think we've found a way to totally communicate that with people yet, but how it works really well for road trips. If you're listening to a podcast, but it's just talking, you don't want to hear the traffic around you, the beat can kind of come in there and support it.
Or think about when you don't want to clean your house and you put on a true crime podcast with a pop beat behind it, and you're just shoving that broom like nobody's business. It really helps you get through some of these small chores and tasks.
Yeah.
It's not just that walking and running and hiking and rowing.
Yeah, I think that it really brings on that flow a lot quicker, a lot sooner. And I would even venture to say that it's a way to relax and calm an anxious mind and an anxious,
yes.
Those are simple things that we can do to really switch on a different modality of ourselves when life is challenging. And, this day and age, we're all living in this anxiety-ridden world where everything is so fast-paced. And this is just another tool in your tool belt to be able to utilize to just hone it in, create a little bit more harmony throughout your day.
Yeah. That's a great way to think about it. Like even the trip hop beat is very kind of serene and kind of calming, and it actually works great as noise cancellation. And that's something we didn't really think about either. When you're just listening to voices talking, you can hear other people talking in and around in between the breaks. But when you have a beat underneath it, it kind of cancels out all that surrounding sound.
Oh, when we're at the zoo or the park or at the pool and there are kids screaming, I am trans beat full volume.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I love that.
Kids are great. I love them, but the high pitched screaming, I need a beat.
You go into a totally different state when the kids have flown the nest, or if you don't have them, and you're just like, yeah, I've done that, been there, done that, and I'm ready to have some peace and explore the park on my own. And yeah, so I totally get that. That's why I was laughing and thumbs up, because I now at this point in my life completely understand that. And so what a lovely point to bring up in another way that you can utilize this. I mean, it truly is something that you can. We're so engulfed in the world of our phones anyway, and we're like this show and people like you were wanting to bring the positive aspects, the educational aspects to the world. And it just heightens and enlivens that.
Yeah. I think what's great about your show too, April, is there's a level of self-improvement that definitely comes from your show, right? And it's something that everybody wants to do, is self-improvement. But the biggest...
No one says I want to be terrible tomorrow.
It's true. But the biggest obstacle of it is time. So if you can look at podcasts and audiobooks and learn about something new, and if you weren't going to do it while you're working out or running before because it just didn't have the energy for you, this actually gives you that time. Of course you can listen to music and stuff, but people's playlists can kind of get repetitive. And sometimes people are kind of like, I'm done with my playlist. Like I haven't refreshed it in a while. All of a sudden now you can add podcasts and audiobooks to your playlist. And you can use that time, like a 2-hour run or an 1.5 hour row, to kind of learn about something or improve yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I really wish I would have had this during my days when I worked 2 jobs, but they were positions that were, you kind of got to do them automatic. They were physical, laborious positions, but I didn't have to interact with people. And so I got to spend that time listening to hundreds of audiobooks. My gosh, it was the point in my life where I was learning so intensely, so deeply. Most of my learning comes now from guests like you. So I don't go out of my way to listen to so much of that, because life has shifted a little bit and this is where I get it. But during those times, it would have been really rad to have something like that. So thank you again for bringing this to the world. It's so awesome. Now, is this app available globally, or is it just in certain parts of the world?
It is global.
Yeah.
We
Nice.
actually have some weird countries that like us.
I wouldn't say weird countries.
Sorry,
I would just say
my mistake. Those are countries we didn't expect.
Yeah. We're in about 9 countries where we have users, and now it's someone like 47 people in India and like 48 people in South Africa. And again, the great thing about podcasts, audiobooks, and how they work with Beats, it's not a language thing, right? Beats are bilingual, or what do we say, multilingual?
Multilingual.
They work with any language. So so that really opens it up, and we're always really happy when we see like downloads in a whole other part of the world where we're like, oh my God, that's amazing. There's some people using it there. That is great.
I totally get that. I am often surprised by the different parts of the world where people are listening to the show. I'm like, oh, that's very interesting. And although, YouTube is really cool. That's our largest platform. And they are now launching where it's going to be giving like so many languages. And so it's going to just ever expand the exposure of things, which is a really cool thing also. But yeah, music is, it's a universal language. We all get it. It's the language of, like, you could say, the heart and the soul and all of that thing. And again, going back to that is how we connect. There's science behind how it affects plants, because these are all living organisms. So anything that you surround yourself with that is a living organism is affected by the energies that we give off, by the music that we display in that environment. And so bravo again for you guys bringing such an incredible thing to light in the world globally. Now, what are you two most excited about creating next?
Ooh, that's a great question. We do want to get to a point where we get large enough where we can work with individual artists that can then drop all the beats of their new album coming out. So all of a sudden, someone like Doja Cat or Charlie XCX would be able to drop all of her beats in advance of her album, so people can sample them first and do it during a podcast.
That's what he would like to do.
Yeah.
I would like to. It's great.
Thank you.
But I would like to give it as a support system to anyone that has a disability or has been recently disabled, because it really helped me. And to be able to do that for anyone else would be just ideal.
It's such a good point. Like, people struggle, especially after injury or after they've overcome something, to get back into exercising again, right? Like, if you are lacking motivation and you're searching for ways to kind of get it, I think we've all been there, where you just go through a phase where you don't feel like it, and you there's nothing you can kind of point at and go, well, that's why. You just don't feel like it. So, like,
instead of that's why, it's that's how. So this is how. It's the carrot.
Yeah.
The carrot. I love that. You're right. Absolutely. And you two know that we do self-improvement programs and we have communities, and that is something that we have started advertising for our audience and for the people who attend our programs or purchase our programs or what have you. It's another piece, just like you said. If you're lacking motivation, then here's another tool, and these are resources that you can utilize and just run with it, try it out. And that's part of self-improvement, is a journey that is continuous. It doesn't stop. It doesn't end, because, there's infinite possibilities and there's infinite creations. Yeah.
I'm kidding.
No, it's true. If someone really feels like they're their best ever and they're not going to improve anymore, I'm not sure I want to hang out with that person.
Nope, me neither.
Nope. I agree with you, because there's just always more to learn, always more to be open to. So you guys have really brought such a beautiful, colorful thing to light. Is there anything else you want to share with our audience today?
You asked about any user stories, and we did have
Yeah.
someone reach out to us. Michael Berlin, he's probably one of our first PodBeat users. He started using it for audiobooks. And before we kind of had really, we dabbled with audiobooks, but it was mainly for podcasts, PodBeat, right? But he was training for the Chicago Marathon, and he went through 6 books while training. And he sent us this amazing video and said, hey, I couldn't have done this without you guys, because this gave me something underneath the audiobook to kind of just help me run and actually get to the marathon. And we were like, that's awesome. So.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, I'm getting misty. That was an important story to me.
Yeah.
That is an important story. And thank you for sharing that, because it reminds me too of a time that I was still looking at police agencies, and I applied for one, and the application process is really intense, and there's many different phases that you need to get through. And of course, there's the physical, the mental, all of it, right? And so I was applying for this agency during the middle of a flare-up. So my autoimmune disorder was not good. I was not at my best. And so it was during the physical piece of it, where you have to, run so many miles and do so many push-ups and pull-ups and all the things. And music helped me get through that running during that time, because it was very challenging for me. It was not easy at all. And I've always pushed myself, and that's why I believe that I'm where I'm at today, living with a dis-ease. It's the mindset, the mentality, that always wanting to prove to myself and to the world that I'm greater than that.
Mm.
And music, beats, all of those things really help push you along. Like you said, Joy, that's really a gift to people when we're in those positions.
Yeah.
I just love you guys. Can I say that? I love you. You guys are so cool, so great. I really appreciate you being on the Wellness Driven Life Show. Thank you for being open and sharing your journey, sharing your story, and what you have brought to the world. And yes, thank you. I want to make sure everyone knows where to find you. And we had it displayed here on the screen a few times for those of you viewing, podbeat.com. For those of you listening in, podbeat.com, easy peasy. Go get the app on either Apple or on Google Play. And it is also in the description below. So thank you so much. Thank you, Nathan and Joy.
Thank you, April.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. And thank you to our audience, because without you, the show wouldn't be possible. So goodbye for now, and we will see you all next time.
Thank you.